Hello everyone, Hobbyist here, back at it again with another video. And I want to first preface this by saying that I have not watched Boruto. I have no idea what goes on inside Boruto, but I have my theories based on what I did in my last video, where I talked about the ideological differences between Naruto and Sasuke, and how I would have expounded on that a little bit more. So, my theory on what I would think would go on inside of Boruto based on what I did is that Boruto would now be the themes of the consequences of peace. Not necessarily the consequences of war, because that constantly happens inside of various forms of media and stuff like that, and how it affects people, because that's what Naruto Shippuden did. So with Boruto, we could go in the completely opposite direction, where now it's what are the consequences of peace. So of course, Boruto could still start with like the movie Boruto, Hinata and Naruto having kids and all that sort of thing, and Naruto actually becoming the Hokage. So Naruto, I would treat that moment, because I've seen clips online as far as like it's treated a lot more comedic as far as Naruto becoming the Hokage. But me personally, I think that just sounds like a disservice to Naruto. Obviously, the whole goal with Boruto is that we're moving on from Naruto's generation to the generations to come. And I think that with the message of what are the consequences of peace could be a strong narrative choice to move forward with Boruto. Because at this point in time, Naruto succeeded in everything that he's promised that he would do. He's become the Hokage, kind of sort of as like an in-memory thing, because in the alternate timeline that I thought of, Kakashi stayed dead, so he was never the Hokage after Tsunade. It was Naruto. Then it's treated, of course, with a little bit more respect, because he's made his promises. He's become the Hokage. He's finally claimed the peace that he promised Jiraiya that he would do, and that he promised that he wouldn't break for Pain. Again, of course, assuming that this is the message that he decides to carry on in the wake of Pain's death, but no resurrections of anybody. So now Naruto would now play more of a mentor role inside of being the one to kind of groom Boruto to become the next Hokage or something like that. Maybe as cliche as it sounds. Obviously, the whole rebellious nature of the fact that I think that Boruto wants to just spend more time with his dad is not necessarily a bad narrative choice. Definitely makes him seem bratty, that's for sure. But I like to take it from a narrative of Boruto's never seen violence the way that Naruto has. Boruto's never experienced war or tragedy or destruction or any of the agony that the previous generation had with Naruto's generation, especially during the Fourth Great Ninja War arc. But with Boruto, I would kind of play along that theme of the consequences of peace, in the fact that, on one hand, Boruto's only ever known peace, so he knows the joys that peace can bring. And kind of his whole character arc is that peace is a wonderful thing, and that peace is something that you should strive for. And that he wants to get strong enough, of course, to get the recognition from his dad, because his dad's been so busy being the Hokage that he's kind of been absent. Not a bad narrative choice. I think that that's fine. As far as the side characters, I, again, don't know too much about all that. This is just based on what I know with Boruto. The villains, however, the villains is who I would fix. I don't want another Genjutsu copy of the last generation. This time, I want to kind of have its own Akatsuki, but it's very different from the ones of the old. Instead of the Akatsuki being those who are, let's say, outcasts from their respective villages and stuff like that, it could still play that way, but here's what I mean. What if these members of this new Akatsuki like group are instead people who benefited from the profits of the war, to where they've only known war their whole lives as shinobi, but because of this peace that has been finally restored with the five Kage, there's now consequences for that. People are out of jobs as shinobi. People aren't being paid very well because they don't have war or anything to profit from. Countries have gone stagnant. There might be some areas inside of the various villages that are a lot more poor in comparison because they've grown stagnant. They haven't tried to expand and grow more and trade more. It's all just been peace. It's all they've ever known. So now these new people who are in power are a little bit more complacent with what they are. And that this complacency might get some people killed. So where now any villages or any deserters who are among the outskirts are now the ones who are going to attack these villages. And this is how I would properly quote unquote nerf Naruto inside of Boruto. And it would make the most sense. Is that this whole time that this peace has been going on with Naruto, ever since he became the Hokage, is that he hasn't been really training himself because he hasn't had to. He's been busy with his Hokage duties. He's been enjoying this peace to where there's no big villains who are coming out of the shadows to keep Naruto in shape. With Sasuke, however, it's a very different story. Because Sasuke is still reflecting, he still believes he has to protect the Hidden Leaf Village, just not from the inside because, well, now he has a more justifiable reason based on that previous video in regards to why he isn't coming back. Because there's people who still view him as too extreme, as too dangerous to be an asset to the Hidden Leaf Village, even though secretly this whole time, much paralleling to Itachi, Sasuke has been doing everything for the Hidden Leaf Village while also being the quote-unquote scapegoat, just like his brother. So with Boruto, we could definitely see it as an angle to where now it's Sasuke, quote-unquote, again trying to be the extremist, but it's very different in regards to how now Sasuke has uncovered this threat that's coming to Hidden Leaf. This new warlike group who has suffered from peace because they've had no wars, they've had no abilities to grow, evolve, change because the peace has been happening. So everyone's grown lazy, grown complacent. Maybe there's less ninjas being trained in this generation in comparison to before, when war was what was necessary. So now these villains are coming up from the surface and they attack Hidden Leaf first. And unlike other attacks that have happened in the past with Hidden Leaf, Naruto isn't as prepared. Because again, Naruto hasn't been training as much. Because he's been busy as Hokage, he's been enjoying the peace of being with his kids and all that sort of thing, so there's this sense of complacency. What if instead, now, these radicalists of war who want to bring war back and not keep this ever-growing peace that isn't benefiting anybody, what if they're the ones who then are more powerful than Sasuke? Even though Sasuke can take out most of them, he can't take out everything. Because in all realistic aspects, Sasuke can't be everywhere at once. So what if that causes some notable deaths inside of Hidden Leaf to where now Naruto is then questioned as far as being a valid Hokage? Because he's achieved this peace, because he's achieved this vision, that maybe he isn't the one to be the Hokage. Because he's, again, going off the consequences from my last video, he's thinking with his heart and not with his head. Whereas Boruto could now be that more logical thinker. Obviously, he's still a kid, so he's going to still have a childlike naivety to him. But I think that naivety could provide some sort of angle into how the rest of the story to progress. Because now, Naruto's validity is being questioned by the Hidden Leaf because of this serious attack. But Boruto, still wanting the recognition from his dad and still wanting to be the one to have him look his way, is now trying to restore his father's honor as a Hokage by meeting up with his friends, training to become shinobi, and simply wanting to be the ones to take on the tasks that Naruto couldn't really do. So where, in a way, Boruto is like a Sasuke, but he's a bit more bright, if that makes sense. To where He wants his father's honor. He wants his father to recognize him. But there's this kindness to him that has always been similar-esque to his father, where he can be more of a realistic thinker like Sasuke, but he can also be compassionate too, just like his father, and just like Hinata. Because let's face it, Hinata and Naruto are probably two of the most compassionate people in the Naruto verse. So it would make sense based on the influences of Boruto around him, to where he picks up on his compassion from his father, but at the same time realizes that he's a bit more of a logical thinker. It would distinguish him from Naruto, and I think he would definitely be a character to get behind more. Where now you could explore his various powers and all that sort of thing, to where he still does his training with Sasuke, because he doesn't want to be complacent like everybody else, because he's tired of peace, he's bored of peace, but more importantly, he wants to restore the honor of his father's name. So that's pretty much all I've got for as far as like what I would think Boruto would be. Again, I could be 100% wrong, but let me know down in the comments below. Is this anywhere close? Is this completely off the mark? Do you think this is a better story than what's currently going on? Tons of questions that could be asked about my whole thought process. But otherwise, I'll thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.